case for the court at the Hague. Thank you very much. My name is Veronica Davis, and I would like to make a statement as a member of the public. This case has been put forward on the basis of traffic problems. As a member of the public, I suspect it's the insatiable greed of Westminster Council. We pay taxes every single time we spend money. It is taken from us in many overt manners. We are fed up with this. And if you attack us in this way, we are going to be outraged. Indeed, we are outraged at this very suggestion. There is only one day a week in which we have a freedom to move about without being charged, and you wish to take this away from us. Kindly change your mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the candidate for the London Assembly for UKIP. I also happen to be a parishioner of St Mary's Bourne Street, which is going to be affected by this. I would rather put my money in the collection tin on a Sunday than give it to Westminster Council to squander on outrageous salaries that they pay the council officers. We are destroying business in Westminster, and not only that, they're destroying churches. And I urge you all to vote UKIP and the earliest opportunity to check this one out.
I've been having a quick flick through on your website on the payments, and there's a lot of analysis that you have done. I can't say I've looked at all of that in the last 10 minutes. One thing that I just wonder is to what extent you've looked at the reasons that people are driving in on Sunday. And you mentioned in certain sections there where we're actually not expecting the improvements to the tube network, the trains and the buses until 2018, yet they're looking to put the restrictions on the ability to move traffic and bring people in to this part of London to keep it vibrant in the way it is. So I think there's some challenges there that need to be brought through into the practical aspect. I know for a fact in our church that well over half a tonne of equipment is brought in every Sunday to our church. That's not practical on tubes that don't run most Sundays or inconsistent in the least. Train networks that are running down at a quarter of capacity quite often, or on buses or forest fires. And so thinking through those practicalities of the half a tonne of equipment to come in and to meet the needs of a lot of people who need that within our part of London.
I'm John Sam. I don't live here. I chair of the major community.
Speak up.
I understand the parking problem. I agree with everything that's been said. But there is no need for parking controls on Sunday morning. There's no need for a lot of the parking controls in Mayfair. This is all led by the biggest greed. They want money, deny it. The councils I speak to, at the very top, have been given the whip. I spoke to a senior official at the council today, and they said it's all about money. That's all it's about. They want to raise a lot of money to fill the parking revenue hole, and it's about money. They deny all the revenue. Thank you very much.
Short question to Councillor Foley. What does the council intend to do with that money?
Squander it.
I hope you can hear me because I inadvertently dropped my microphone. So, okay. So, the short answer to the gentleman's question is any money which is raised from parking goes back into other council activities. So that goes back into either repairing the road outside, so you guys can come, or it goes to repairing the pavement, so you guys can walk, or it goes to or it goes to helping animals, or helping older people, helping vulnerable people, which all of you do such great work with, helping children, supporting council services.
What about it?
The council, well, you expect me to say this, I know you will. The council is not using parking to raise revenue. It's not allowed to do The council is able, as a result of policies which are for traffic management purposes, it is able to do something with any of that money which comes out as a result. That's just the reality. But the point here, ultimately, which we can't get, one of the speakers before talked about the laws of unintended consequences. I absolutely agree with you. You guys all do fantastic work. You guys all do wonderful things. I don't want to bring politics into this, like some of my colleagues over there, but I believe in the ideas of voluntary organisation, of the church, of religious groups to improve our society, to make things better. But the point about a council, I cannot make more roads out there. I cannot divide the road into 17 and just make more space. It doesn't work like that. And unfortunately, this is one of the areas where we have to work out how we give that road, how we make that road most useful and usable to all. And the reality here is that there are more cars seeming to be coming to Westminster on this Sunday than there are during days of the week. And if you, and I know you all have personal experience of this, I also have personal experience of this, when I walk around this area, and I walked up New Cavendish Street the other Sunday, cars could not get down New Cavendish Street because every single available space on single yellow lines and in parking lanes was taken up. That meant the amount of traffic which would get down there was hard, was third, and it wasn't safe. Now, I absolutely respect your own views on it. But what I would ask is you just consider the council recognises that there is a problem. The council even accepts this is a complete law of unintended consequences. We did not bring in the Sunday Trading Act in 1994. We did not mandate shops to open. We did not make Sunday the second biggest shopping trading day in the country. That has happened over the past few years. We all have individual views on that, but it's a responsible council that realises when a problem is being created, that it has to bring forward proposals to try and work that out. I will stop there, because I'm going to hear you. But we haven't made any decisions on any of it yet.
Something to price for later, I believe. Matt?
Matthew Boyd speaking on behalf of Christchurch Mayfair and Down Street. We're a congregation of about 350. I'm not going to reiterate what's been said by many people in support. Again, if I reiterate the point about families, we have a growing number of young families, particularly babies and toddlers. Public transport is unreliable on a Sunday, particularly the upgrade works achieved. And therefore, those families, apart from which are brought in, will not be able to attend. Secondly, and I think importantly, is this a sledgehammer to crack the nuts? Are there a few roads where there's a parking issue? And those roads should be controlled, and Westminster should look carefully at them, rather than trying to control over an area of Mayfair that has got very few residents, primarily its embassies and offices. There is not a parking issue on a Sunday. So I'll ask you to look carefully at zoning, because the whole of zoning needs the same charge control. Is it a few roads that need perhaps changes to double yellow lines to a resident parking?
Interviewed on Saturday BBC television on Sunday night was. That was the first indication we had of this was going on. And yet you said come to the window for your starting. How come none of us who are regular congregations knew anything about this until the last 4 years?
I'm sorry to say that you haven't had further information on that at an earlier stage, but the reality is the council is trying to engage as many people as it possibly can in this on 2 separate occasions, including a consultation which it didn't have to hold, which is the one that was just closed. The key point ultimately is we can't go out and knock on everybody's door, but we have to do what we can. When we didn't have a great response from religious organisations when we first sent an email out on this, of my colleagues to go and talk to people in the religious communities about this. We have sought your views, we want your views, we want to understand them, and that's why I'm so grateful we're here tonight. So we can...
Thank you. Peter Martindale. I can perhaps give some background to this. In the early 1990s, residence parking in Mayfair and Soho finished at 6:30 weekdays and 1:30 on a Saturday. There was a fairly major problem for residents that as the increasing number of late night licences and weekend trading causing problems for residents not being able to find parking. At that time I pushed forward and we achieved 24-hour residence parking protection for Mayfair and Soho. That alleviated that problem. At various times, Westminster Council, over the years, have tried to impose similar restrictions to are now being suggested for later restrictions on yellow lines and on Sundays as well. Most residents around here objected to that because they recognised that that access to free parking on yellow lines at weekends and evenings was essential in order for them to have visitors of any kind and for the churches and theatres. So that is how we managed to keep the status quo up to date. If we lose that situation now, then residents and the churches and the theatres will all suffer terribly. In Marylebone, they chose not to have that restriction at that time. And I think that part of this proposal from the council comes from the problems which now exist up in Marylebone, where now they are getting problems from Sunday trading, later hours, more licensed premises. In fact, in Marylebone, they actually opted for almost the opposite situation, where there is very little residents-only parking. It is mostly, as I understand it, or certainly in large parts of it around Harley Street, shared residence and pay and display parking. That was partly done because of the recognition for the Harley Street area. You've got a lot of people coming for medical reasons for very short periods of time and not perhaps being able to walk terribly far. What I would suggest is that up in the Marylebone area, which is affected, there is some dedicated residence parking provided now with 24-hour protection, as there is in Mayfair and Soho. That in addition, one of the other things the council has done across the borough is to have removed double yellow lines on corners, etc., trying to increase the amount of parking and put single yellow lines. Well, we perhaps need a reversion to some of those double yellow lines on the corners so that you don't get the obstructions which Councillor Rowley has spoken about. Someone else said about a sledgehammer to crack a nut. You're looking at the solution the wrong way. I hope that gives a way forward.
as crucial or whatever opinions about this issue, and I respect all those, and I'm grateful. I'll just dot about it to try and respond to the questions being asked, and then I'll spend a minute just summing up. I think there was a question around no one thought to consult with the church as well. I just go, the point about consultation is nothing is perfect, but we did go out through the faith exchange. You are right, Westminster runs the faith exchange, but that's one of the things it does to try and support the religious communities in Westminster. We've had twice through the faith exchange. I also personally asked people to go out and speak to churches about it. Now, clearly, most of you have told me that you haven't heard of it, and I recognise that, but we had 900 responses to the consultation, and another 900 responses to the consultation. I can't knock on everybody's door. All I can do is try to create a consultation which will take to as many people as possible within the time. I'm very sorry that you didn't hear about it. It's great that we're all here now. It's great that we're talking. It's great that your views can be taken into account. Dotting about, the gentleman who spoke first asked, can I just an economic impact on this, but also a social impact. Well, Westminster is required under the law to consider the impacts upon communities and groups within its area and coming into its area, and it will do that if appropriate, because it has to do that through on its legal obligations. And the question from Mr. Martindale about residents, the point in these proposals is, one of the suggestions which we have come forward, if controls do go in on a weekend or in the evenings, we would potentially see to continue to allow people with disabled passes to continue to park in a recognition that they can't get about, and in a recognition that they still need to be able to access the road in the centre of London. We would also potentially still allow residents to park on single-year lines. But the key point here is also, there's another gentleman who talks about how this would encourage residents, visitors to come in. Well, one of the 8 policies is to introduce potentially a visitor parking permit. So we're trying to look at this in the round. I fully, one point which the lady here talks about, which is the removal of resident space. In the last 20 years, Westminster has installed net 15,000 more resident space than it started out with. There were 1,000 resident space, an increase of 1,000 resident space in the last 18 months or so alone. And so we are trying to rejig our NIPs on the street to support both residents and businesses and visitors where we can. Ultimately, I didn't come here expecting that I would convince any of you, and I think that's proven to be the case. Again, no decisions have been made. We will go forward to make a decision in the next few weeks. I have listened to your point, we will go away and consider about whether more time is appropriate. I am genuinely very grateful for everybody who's come here. I recognise that you all have very great passions about this. You're all really concerned about what it may or may not do. I ask you just to consider, I am a resident myself. No. I was elected as a resident to be a councillor. I'm not a bureaucrat that sits in an 18th floor office scheming about what I can do next to annoy the residents and businesses of Westminster. But the real key point here is, what you've got to decide is whether you feel that there is a problem on the streets of Westminster. I am convinced that I think there is a problem on the streets of Westminster, and I would encourage you to go and look at our website where there's over 200 pages of analysis, evidence and investigations on that. If you still disagree with me after that, I will completely respect your position. If you accept there is a problem, the question is whether we do anything about it, and if we do something about it, what we do. This is a proposal about what we can do with it. Again, no decisions that are being made, but we are looking to make decisions in the next few years. I'm very grateful for your views. We will certainly take them into account, and I'm happy to meet with people as I can over the next few weeks.
Where's our referendum?
I think we're all coming again. I'm glad we had a debate. There may be things we agree on, maybe things we disagree on, but it's really important to talk about these things. Thank you again for your time.
We also have with us today our ward councillor, Ben Roberts, who wants to say a few words, because obviously a lot of people here are.
She's a good one, yeah.
Well, I'm not going to say very much.
Oh.
Councillor Warren seems strange to me here. In fact, the Councillor seems strange to me here. And the fact that although so few people seem to realise about this consultation, so many have turned out today. Now, unlike Councillor Rowley, I live here, I work here, I drive here, I shop here. I do that on Sunday, I do it in the evenings. I don't find a difficulty moving around.
Exactly. Yeah.
There are certain key areas which some speaker actually said, I think on the W line, round the corners of junctions so people can't park there. But otherwise, don't penalise the whole of the community. This is the churches. It's not just the churches, it's the shops, it's the late night economy, it's the girls who come and work in the shops and who will have to go home late at night by taxi, who work in the bars and the restaurants. And I think this can kill the local area.
Yeah.
We did say we would ask for a show of hands for those who were in favour of introducing control.